Welcome to the Engineering Seed podcast.
So the ATN, Australian Technology Network. It is network.
Yes.
Great. So they've got a team of 5 universities.
There used to be 5, but they're currently 4.
Okay.
Yeah, so QT dropped out, or they didn't want to be part of it, I think about a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How long has this project then been happening for?
Okay. So I think the start, or like this discussion about having a car started 2016, I want to say.
Yeah.
Maybe even, 2016. Because when I did my capstone, I worked on something related to the solar car.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that was the first semester they ran it like that. But I also know some of the science students from UTS that actually did like a mock-up kind of model.
Yeah.
Because some guy contacted me on LinkedIn,
Right.
just like you. And he's like, hey, how's the project going? I did this too. And that was just,
Yeah, okay.
but never really got anywhere. So not until 2 years ago,
Yeah.
they probably started like the real proper, we need to get a car there.
Okay. And so have you always been the team leader for that, or have you progressed through in designing and then leading?
No, so kind of the transition between my bachelor and my PhD, because my supervisor is the academic lead from UTS.
Yep.
And I helped him supervising capstone students. So basically I would go over their work sometimes, but just make sure they're actually doing work. And then they had their internship. I started liaising with all the other universities, and about a year and a half ago, I would say, they kind of started scoping out the roles for the actual competition, and I took over as team manager because we didn't have a proper team structure at all. Everybody kind of did their thing that they had to do, and kind of because of the topology of it, there's so many academics and other stakeholders part of that whole committee that's above the student level.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of levels
Yes.
to the actual project.
Yeah, okay. So you are the leader of across all the unis that are involved?
Yeah.
And so what are the other unis that are involved?
So QUT was still involved with the solar car.
Yep.
RMIT, UNISA, Curtin, and UTS.
Yeah. And so the 4 of you without QUTs going on with next year?
So we're actually having a meeting early December about this. We don't know
Okay.
yet. So hopefully they will still stay on,
Yeah.
but we actually don't know.
Okay. So you've had this car, I guess, at least for this year, going on for 2 years, trying to develop it.
Yeah.
How did you go? Like, what happened? Because that was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so we did actually really well,
Yep.
considering what we had, like what we started with when we went on the trip. We
Yep.
had a lot of stuff we needed to fix on the road, on the
Always
way
happens.
up there.
Yep.
Yeah. But also, there was some stuff that we hadn't finished to the level we wanted to finish them.
Yeah.
And it caused, one thing was that our drag was a bit higher than expected, so we drained our battery
Mhm.
quite a lot, and just some things that were fixed not that well
Yeah.
caused us having to trailer the car.
Mm.
So we never got any dynamic points, but we did do really well up in Hidden Valley. So we were in the top 10 of qualifying. So
Okay.
we actually qualified
Wow.
with the cars designed for speed. So
Yeah.
that's the really light space looking ones. And we did the figure 8 fastest cruiser, second fastest in the whole competition.
Wow.
And we were also the lightest cruiser class,
Wow.
which is beating, teams that have been doing this for 20 years,
Yeah.
which
Well,
is pretty neat.
that's awesome. And so, could you quickly go over the competition? So there's obviously multiple events that you can
Yes,
see.
so we have 3 different classes. So one is Challenger, which is the ones that kind of don't fit within the regulations of the other 2 classes, or there might be old cars competing again and they modified it and they still have a new car. There's did I say Challenger?
Yes.
Challenger is actually the lighter one.
Yeah, okay.
The adventure class is the one that I just spoke about.
Okay.
And then we have Cruiser, which is the one we competed in, and it's not so much a race like a fast car. It's more about the efficiency and like everyday practicality. So it's the design, the function. So there's a lot of more aspects to it. So you don't actually know really who's in the lead or who's going to win until the really end.
Right. And the Cruiser, that's the one that spans from Darwin to Adelaide?
Yeah, so all of them start up in Darwin. So you have about 2 weeks up in Darwin, or a week at least, before you start. So you're going to have to go around a racetrack up in Darwin, go through all this scrutineering where they check the car. You have to, show that it can drive, that it's safe, and all the FEA and, electrical compliance.
Yep.
And then you start, obviously, from Darwin, drive all the way down to Adelaide. Takes about 5 days, depending on your class.
Yep. What was your average speed then going along?
So this is partially why we drained our battery. We did do about 80, 85 first day. Second day we did 60. So 60 is a lot more efficient to drive, but you need to make certain stops. So they will have control stops along the way, and you have to make them within a certain time frame.
Okay.
Otherwise you get penalized on your efficiency score or time score, and then if you're very late to one, you might not actually make the other one.
Right.
So it's a very fine balance. So we do have a strategist that worked with us. That was she did a really good job.
Very interesting. So how many people are on the team across the unis?
So for the race team we were 20 people.
Yep.
And that included 3 academics.
Yep.
For the actual total, it's quite hard to say because we do get a lot of people working in the background at each university. And then there's also quite a large changeover with students. So some are really keen and really involved and, they're all into this. And then you have others that they think it's a cool project and they love making the capstone, but they're pretty much happy there. They're like, I have my capstone, I'm ready to work. I want to get out of uni.
Yep. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
And so is this what you're doing with your PhD? Is this separate?
Kind of.
Okay.
So I used the solar car as a case study vehicle because they are really light. Our goal weight was 284 kilos as a maximum. We were a bit heavier than that.
Including driver?
No, just curb weight. So we were actually about 355, but that's still a lot lighter than all the other ones. But because you can go fairly high speeds and we use like low friction tires, they have a very interesting dynamic structure. So I look into certain vehicle dynamic uncertainties, particularly when you have a lot of wind, like crosswind.
Yep.
Or you have low distribution, like you pack it differently, it changes the inertia, center of gravity, and basically the control of that, how does it react?
Okay, so that's what your PhD is about. Okay, interesting. So how far are you into that at the moment?
I'm 2 years in,
Yep.
so I have a year to go.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Yeah, awesome. And do you know what you're wanting to do after this?
Not particularly.
Yep.
I wouldn't mind staying slightly in academia, but I don't really want to do it 100%, but I'm not sure. It depends. If there's a really interesting project that you can work on, I wouldn't mind. I think it's more about where can I find the most interesting work, what would be fun.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I think it needs to be a bit of a challenge, and I just need a bit of change. You don't want to be stuck in the same thing every day.
Yeah. So, I guess, how has it been trying to manage across the 4 different unis, across different states?
Well, look, it was not easy. It was quite hard. I think one of the main things was that we didn't really succeed in having, we planned them to have team camps, but we didn't succeed to fit in when it worked for most people, and if we had the funding or the time to actually do it. So it can be quite challenging when you don't work with people face to face, and then you come on the road for X amount of weeks, and you realise that you could have structured the team differently.
Yeah. I guess for me, when I was going through motorsports, that's where I got a lot of my, I guess, practical skills as an engineer. What sort of skills have you sort of found in your role, particularly, that you've needed, had to learn, or anything like that to sort of...
I think communication
Yep.
is probably the key really in any work that you can do, but especially when you want people to do something, or even collaborating, you need to be able to understand that not everybody thinks the same way. So obviously there's going to be disputes, and it's just how you're going to solve it the best way. We might not have the greatest situation, but how do we move along?
Yeah.
So also that as a skill to see past an issue and be able to move along from it, I think that was a great learning.
Yeah, okay. Is there something that you've sort of found when working with students that you've seen as a common thread that maybe have been a frustration, that maybe in particular with communication where they could structure emails better or something like that?
Yeah, I think just the timing of response is one of them.
Yep.
Some can be just the fact that, and I think though it's not just students, I think this can be anyone, is that you will tell, for example, I will tell you to do that, I will do something, and you'll tell me, no, I'd rather you do it this way, but they proceed with the way they thought of the first time and realize that, this wasn't,
Yeah, okay.
I should have listened.
Right.
Kind of not taking direction.
Yeah.
But that can also come back to how did I communicate what I wanted. So I think that's a bit of a fine line.
Yeah. Okay.
Of stubbornness and communication.
Yeah. Is this something that you're going to continue with next year with the Solar team?
I'll see. I have quite a bit of work with my research.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, okay.
On other stuff. So it takes up quite a bit of time. Even just chasing after people, writing emails. It's quite a bit of a tedious thing, just try to get a hold of people. Yeah.
Are you able to talk more about what you're doing with your research?
Yeah. What do you want to know?
So you said that it's about, well, you used the car as a case study because it's lightweight. Could you give an overall sort of description of what you're doing?
So basically I look at vehicle stability and I use in-wheel motors to control an additional yaw moment. So it's a yaw moment control, or some people call it torque vectoring. So basically you vary the speed of the, either right or left hand side to get that additional moment to help the car actually maintain in its trajectory or the side trajectory.
Okay.
And what you'll find is that when you get really strong crosswinds, you might end up on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And same with when you load your vehicle, especially really light vehicles, the actual change in center of gravity is a lot larger than a heavy vehicle. And the controller obviously can't just randomly, it needs to update these type of things. So I'm kind of looking into a mixture between sudden changes and actual changes that we have implied on the vehicle by being two people or being a single person in the solar car. Even that changes the ratio quite a lot.
Yeah.
And that can kind of be transferred into connected and autonomous vehicles, just because that variables and information is very much required for the system to be able to work on its own, and not having a driver compensating for it. If we then can update these parameters either online or estimate them, that would be a much easier way.
Yeah. So are you sort of writing the software behind it?
Currently I am doing the control strategy. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I was doing when I ran out here to see. I was like, oh, just one more.
Yeah, okay. What does that involve? Is that as in writing code, or is that... more functional?
It depends. You can do it in many different ways. Because I'm a mechanical background, I'm by far not a software whiz.
Okay.
But currently I'm using a co-simulation between Siemens software and the Sim Center, because they do provide like a vehicle model. It's just a lot easier. And MATLAB and Simulink, so both script and the actual Simulink blocks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're doing this, do you usually have the model of the vehicle and then you have this like a simulation of sort of an estimation of what it should be doing?
Yeah, so you can have the side path or a certain maneuver that you want the driver to perform. And basically you can evaluate and see how the trajectory changes. So with the wind gusts, you can see that if you provide a side wind, the vehicle's going to lose trajectory slightly.
Yeah.
And if you add load or remove load, that will also change.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got 1 year left of uni, hopefully. Are you thinking of staying in Australia? Is there are there sort of industries in Australia that you can apply this to, or is this more of an overseas thing?
I think if I stay in Australia, I would like to be involved more in academia, just because I'm not sure if there's that much of an opportunity here within the vehicle industry.
Yeah.
I would rather actually move from cars into agricultural machinery, just because that's, I think that's more interesting.
Yeah.
Just a personal preference. But I wouldn't mind, like I said, if it's interesting, if it grabs my attention, why not? Like,
yeah.
I don't have a set goal on where I want to be. I just reach the end of this part and then plan the next.
Yeah. Is there something that you've been doing, I guess, the way that you've been going through your PhD, that maybe you can look back to your bachelor and sort of think, I wasn't doing this very well? I guess one of the things for me is I was always, just trying to get through the course, the subject. And, when I look back, I should have had a sort of an objective of what I wanted to learn throughout the subject in a more practical sense, so I could continue to get more of an outcome from that subject. Is there something that you've... Yeah.
So I have not realised until I started my PhD how little we actually get to learn Simulink and MATLAB.
Yeah.
And I think that's, what most people actually do use, unless they're going to, C coding or whatever. But MATLAB is a fairly common use tool, and I think we could have done a bit more of it, to be honest.
Yeah. So learning MATLAB to be used in industry.
Yeah, definitely if you're working with control systems, I think that even for mechanical engineers, you're going to have to do slightly more, I think, computer modelling in general, not just, CAD, but actually, some extra.
Okay. Are there any other sort of things that came to mind?
I think it depends. I mean, I didn't go straight into uni after high school.
Okay.
I went travelling.
Yeah.
I worked and then started uni in Sweden, came over here, went back, worked a bit more, then came back here, did uni, finished uni, and worked in project management for a bit and started, my PhD. So I've noticed quite a lot, students don't really take that chance to actually think about what they want to do, and just that kind of professional skills or even skills working with others, and just the fact that you should be on time, no one should have to tell you that that's expected. Just a few work skill sets I think would have been important to implement in general. At uni.
Yeah, there was another guy that I was talking to, and he was his mature age, and he was saying that he kept asking people why they wanted to do engineering, and a lot of them just wouldn't have an answer. And I guess it might affect the way that you go through uni and sort of not really knowing what to do at the end.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I noticed that a lot too, and I was just, it's a why are you here?
Yeah.
Like, take time and figure it out.
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted to do engineering from quite young, so I knew, didn't change my mind, but I did do stuff in between.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you you said that you've been working in project management a bit. Do you like that? Or do you prefer this research that you're doing?
Well, it depends. That was within the HVAC industry. Those type of projects might be very similar all the time. They're not, a vast variety between the different projects.
Yeah.
Obviously, some can be more fun than others, but I think within research, you might do, vehicle stability for a few years, and then you might look into autonomous vehicles.
Yeah.
Or you might even change and go into motorbikes. If you have the skill set with certain things, you can always kind of change what you want to do. So I think that part of the research is just the more what I get attracted to and what I want to do to be able to actually change a little bit what I do.
Okay. Well, I think this has been great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.